broadcast is now starting. All attend.
Good morning, everyone. This is Mark Raymakers here with Insurance Agency Marketing Services. Thank you so much for joining us here Friday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for our webinar here with John Enting. John is one of our top producers. He's been with us for quite a few years, so he's up there in the top 10 on life and annuity and has brought us this product. And so he's tremendously successful with this particular plan with National Guardian Life, and this is on their trust. So this is a recorded webinar, so anything we go through here today, you'll get a chance to review. Question box is open, so you can go ahead and type in questions at any time. John, can you hear me okay?
I can, Mark. Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So John actually is in the field, as I mentioned. He's a top producer of ours, so he's taken time out of his busy schedule today to go through this with us. And who better to co-host this webinar than a person who's actually out there selling, one of the top producers for National Guardian Life. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We've got a few intro slides we go through. We know there's a lot of IMOs out there that are vying for your business. And so I want to tell you a little bit about what we do, how we can help you with your business. So let's go ahead and get that done. We'll jump right into the heart of the webinar this morning. So first of all, one of the things that we're really excited about is our referred producer program. Just like you, we like referrals, but what we do is we financially reward you for every referral that you send over to us. And that starts with the contract. So once we get that agent contractor, we're going to send you a check for $50 just upon that contract. So you get us the name, the phone number, we'll get them contracted, we'll send you a check. Then every time they write business, what we do is we put money into an account, and then each quarter we clear the account, send you a check, and it's based on 20 basis points for every $1,000 that they do. So for an example, if you send us 3 producers that do $1 million, that could be annuities, that could be NGL premium, that could be single premium life, and a fraction of that for traditional life. That's $6,000 for you. And we actually have agents, advisors that are collecting over $10,000, some $15,000, and you know, it doesn't affect their commission, doesn't affect yours. It's just our way of saying thank you for the referral. So if you think of anybody, maybe give us a call here, shoot any of your marketers an email, and we'll go ahead and get the name and the phone number for that particular referral. So we also do something nice for our new producers. And you'll see here that there's a 3-tier approach to this. So if you decide you want to get to 100,000 level and cash in, you can do that. The first level provides you a $750 cash bonus or a 2-year subscription to a website service for yourself. So maybe you don't have a website. If you want to get in on that, you can certainly do that. You can buy into it or earn it. We can get that up and running for you in 1 business day. So Tasia and her team over there does a great job of getting that up and running for you. Or you might just choose to go with an iPad. A lot of companies are going towards the electronic app, so it's nice to have that. You might decide to wait to the 300,000 level, at which point you can claim the Social Security program and 3,000-piece mailing. Now, if you're looking for ways to get in front of more seniors, this is a great way to do it. Again, this is one of those, you can earn it or you can buy it. What you're doing is you're going to learn about Social Security. You're going to get in front of seniors. You're going to have a chance to review their portfolio. That's where you make the money. It's not in counseling on Social Security. So the nice thing is you get a chance to get in front of more potential buyers through this Social Security program. Or you might just decide to do the $1,500 Visa gift card and use that however you choose. Lastly, there's a 500,000 level. If you decide to do that, your options are either choose 5,000 piece mailing and seminar coaching with Matt Gill, or 4,000 piece mailing and seminar coaching with Dave Pimper. Now, both of these individuals are top producers of ours. This is how they get in front of a lot of buyers. This is the way they've become so successful. Matt Gill is probably one of the two has been in the business a shorter period of time and has knocked it out of the park. He's a top producer with us, has been for years, qualifies for a multitude of different company trips as well. So he's got a great approach to his seminar. Dave Pimper, on the other hand, he does a different approach as well, does very well on the annuity side, also the security side, and has also picked up the Social Security seminars himself. So he's a great resource for that. You may just choose to go ahead and go with the Ritz-Carlton travel package and forego any one of the seminar approaches. But if you wanted to buy into either one of those seminars, just give us a call here. We can give you some information. You can contact Matt or Dave, and they can tell you about their program. Okay, so our back office support. You know, again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of places you can do business. But one of the things that we do here, and we do very well, is the service that we provide, and that's all the back office support that you can possibly imagine is available to you here. Whether it's the business building tools and resources, we do have something on our website for that. We've got a great creative team here that can help you with anything that you're doing to market, brand yourself. Also the case design. What we do here is we put together the illustrations for you. Most everybody who's in the marketing department has been in the field one time or another. So they understand the challenges that you have. They understand a lot of the situations that you might be in as far as case design. One of the things I think that we do very well on the live side is we're very creative. We've got a team here that has a lot of experience, and we share a lot of ideas to come up with something unique to help you win the case. So that's important. All the forms are there at your fingertips as well. I'll give you our web address here in just a minute. Really, from submission to commission, that's what we do. Once an application comes in, if you're in traditional life, we scrub that, we order your exams for you, and we case manage that on a constant basis so that you are back in the field doing what you do best, which is selling. Again, I already mentioned the quotes. I mentioned the coaching and expertise we provide here, and paperless contracting. We make it easy to do business with us through the paperless contracting. All you do is complete a document one time, you send it to us, and anytime you want to add new carriers, all you have to do is give us a call or shoot us an email. We'll get you set up with any additional carriers. Our creative marketing solutions, I want to hit on this real quick. This is important because, you know, what we have been able to do is our team here with Tasia and her group, they've created some really attractive pieces. They've helped agents to brand themselves. So if you look at all the different things here, we've got some pieces out there that we've created that all we need to do is put in your logo, your phone number, your address, anything that you want in there. There's stuff that's already created. So we've got a lot of attractive pieces there. So if you want to start sending stuff out to your clients on an annual basis, or maybe you're just going to start marketing to a certain market, we've got all kinds of great pieces out there. Agency Solutions, I've seen a lot of their work actually. They create some beautiful logos, and you can put that on your business. So brand yourself, get it out there. And then the digital solutions, I see more and more of our agents are taking advantage of Facebook and some of those other areas out there. Bottom line, from A to Z, our creative marketing department can help you in any way that you want to go out and market and brand yourself. So keep that in mind. I mentioned our website. It's www.iamsinc.com. Everything you can possibly imagine is out there. So from getting contracted to needing forms to getting illustrations to knowing about the product details, the commissions. There's also videos out there from our Single Premium Life University. There's just everything you can imagine is on the website. So I encourage you to take a minute to go out there. Even if you want to see who the marketers are, the people that you work with on a daily basis, there's a little picture and a little history about them. So it's very all-encompassing or well-encompassing as far as everything we can provide to you. IAMS Wealth Management, this is something we are so excited about. This is really taken off, and this is in response to the Department of Labor ruling that came out. I'm going to put a quick poll out here for you, and let's see here. Here we go. Okay. So just real quick, if you would, just let me know yes or no as I describe our IAMS Wealth Management real quick here. Bottom line, the question is, do you want someone from IAMS Wealth to give you a call? And they can help you with the Series 65 exam. So if you're looking or considering taking the exam, we can help you, support you financially there. We can answer any questions that you might have regarding the Department of Labor. But I think the important thing is, and you know, John had gotten his exam here just complete, what, John, probably about 3 months ago, 4 months ago, maybe? Probably even longer than that. Time flies, right?
Yeah, it's been a year.
Oh, gosh. Okay. Like I said, time flies. We're having a great time. But the nice thing about going to IAMS Wealth Management is this is an opportunity for you really to increase your revenue, to not leave money on the table. So if you've got clients or prospects out there that want to get in the market, you know, now's the time to buy, right? The market, well, market's up last time I checked, but it's really been down, right? This last week has been very difficult. So this is an opportunity for you to help the other end of the business by providing funds or whatever it is that you want to incorporate by utilizing IAMS Wealth Management. It also helps with client retention because the more lines of business that you have with a client or that they have with you, the more likely they are to stay. And you know, maybe you don't want to go through the process of getting a license or taking that exam, but you want to refer somebody over. we can also help you with that too. So you could actually refer a client over and get compensated for that. So if you're interested in knowing about that as well, just mark yes. What I'll do is I'll forward your name and your phone number on to Mike Hansen, and he'll give you a call here today. So again, any questions you might have about IAMS Wealth Management, I'd certainly encourage you to mark yes real quickly, or what you could do is you can also call our office and ask for IAMS Wealth Management, and we'll get you in touch with them over there. So great opportunity for you to grow your business, and again, to solidify the relationship and to undoubtedly increase the commission. So John, do you have any thoughts you want to add to that about IAMS Wealth, since you're doing business with us now on that side?
No, I've always, I was always an annuity producer, and I did incorporate that licensing last year, probably around March. And it's helped me to win some cases that I feel otherwise I wouldn't have been in the conversation because of what I can bring to the table now.
Good, I appreciate that. Okay, I'm going to close this poll. So again, if you have any questions, you can certainly call and ask for anyone in the office there, and they'll get you over to the IAMS department, wealth management department. So here's something we're real big on. You probably noticed that we send out emails about webinars on a constant basis. You probably got a few emails on our training that's coming up, but we think training obviously is very important. And obviously, I think an educated agent is more effective in the field as well and picks up more opportunities. I'm going to try to launch another poll for you here if I can get it pulled up. What happened here? Well, maybe I won't. I wanted to put a poll up here as far as our upcoming Life and Annuity Academy, but for some reason or another, it's stuck. Okay, so don't want to do that. Okay, so what I wanted to do here real quick is I wanted to talk about our upcoming Life and Annuity Training Academy. And what we're doing here is we bring in, there we go, I got it now. Okay, so just real quick, what we do is we bring in speakers from across the country. In fact, John is actually one of them. And we bring you in on a Wednesday, you're here all day Thursday, and then you go home on Friday. And here's how this works. So IAMS will pay for your airfare, your meals, and your lodging. And the whole idea behind this is we're not going to shove a bunch of product down your throat. That's not what it's about. Our whole objective is to help you to grow your annuity business, to grow your life business, to maybe incorporate other products, other ideas into your daily practice, to grow your business, to grow your income. And we do 3 of these a year. We've got one coming up here again. It's in March. It's the last week of March, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And so basically what I'm asking for you to do is to mark yes if you're interested in coming to this particular event. Maybe it's not this one, maybe March doesn't work, but maybe one of the other events during the year does. That's fine, because what we'll do is we'll send you an application. We'll keep you up to date when the next dates are. And so just by marking yes, what you're doing is you're saying you're interested, you'd like to know more. It doesn't mean that you have to attend it. We've been doing these now for several years, and I can tell you that for as long as we've been doing these, I've never heard anybody say it wasn't worth their time. Now, we bring approximately 40 to 45 advisors into this, and the nice thing about it is not only are you learning a lot of different sales concepts and marketing ideas, but it gives you a chance to visit with other advisors from across the country to find out what's working for them. And we've really seen a boost in production from agents that attend this particular event. So again, I'm not getting a great response from, I'm looking to see here, gosh, I would think at least half of you would have some interest or another. Again, we pay for your airfare, we pay for your meals, we pay for your lodging. This is a great way for you to grow your business. And one of the things, John, I'm sure you can attest to it, that I've been in this business since '88, and I have seen the agents that continue to be so successful are the ones that are constantly learning. They're constantly reinvesting in themselves. And realistically, this is a great opportunity for you to grow your business by picking up some new ideas that you may not be familiar with. And John, I don't know, again, if you have any comments to add to that, but I know you speak at this event, and we certainly appreciate you coming and help with that.
Yeah, and absolutely. And the event's awesome. I get a lot of positive feedback from the advisors that come in, not just for what I have to say, but the overall Academy presentation. So, yeah, I'm definitely an advocate for that.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this down. I know we want to get going here. Time is valuable. So if you decide that you want to know more about the event or maybe attend the event, just go ahead and give us a call here, or maybe throughout the presentation, just type in Academy. We'll go ahead and get you some information on that too. Okay, real quick here. We always hold our top producers, our marketing summit. We've actually got one here that's February 25th through the 28th. And even though the qualification period for this has ended, I want to let you know that we always start a new one. And with the Department of Labor, things are a little bit different, but we kind of run it in the same way. We're going to have room for several advisors to come. I believe we've got 60 plus couples that have qualified. Well, I think it's actually 80, but we got about 60 that will be coming. So a great turnout, great response. And basically what this is this is our way of rewarding you for your hard work and saying thank you for your business. And so keep that in mind. We will be announcing a new qualification here shortly. Generally, that'll start from January 1st, and it goes about 18 months. So just keep your eyes on your email, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening there. But if you like to travel, this is a great opportunity for you. So, okay, I will remind you all that the question box is open. So if you have any questions while we're going here this morning, go ahead and type those in. And this is recorded again, so I know that question comes up a lot. So we'll be emailing this to you here by the end of the day today. And I'll be following up as well to see if you have any questions or if you need anything that John is going to hit on here this morning. So again, John, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're extremely busy, with your own production and moving your office and all those kinds of fun things. So thanks again, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Mark, and good morning, everybody. First of all, what I'd like to do is just kind of give you a little background on me and let you know, I'm not a home office guy. I'm actually have an advisory practice in Columbus, Ohio, with a couple different offices. And I'm in the field every day. So I'm meeting with clients. I'm talking to them about their planning opportunities. And I'm talking to them not only about annuities and investing in the market, but also about securing their benefits for when they pass away with National Guardian Life. So I'll share that with you today. I always like to remind you that it's coming from a place of someone who does it. So any questions you have for me, like Mark said, you can type those in the box and we'll get to those during the end of the presentation. So the first thing that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about the opportunity that exists with the product. We'll talk about the trusts themselves that are used at National Guardian Life to hold the asset. Talk about the product that we use to fund the trust. I'll give you some presentation ideas and tools that you could use immediately. And we'll talk about the company itself and what they bring to the table with National Guardian Life. But everything in life, my father told me, is an opportunity, but it's only an opportunity if you act on it. And what happened in my situation was about 14 years ago, I had a mentor of mine who I'm still a very close friend with to this day that brought this product to me. And he said, hey, you need to take a look at this and start implementing this with every client that you talk to, at least have the conversation. And so back then, I didn't know anything about it, but I understood it. I dove in, I learned it, and now here we are 14 years later. We've not only used it with our clients, we've seen the benefits of when they pass away and what a smooth, easy transition it is for their family members to be able to use this product at the death of a loved one. So we're all in the planning business. We know that there's a lot of significant events in our lives that require planning. Certainly passing away would be one of those, but those things don't just happen. You have to have options to put in place. You have to be able to articulate that plan to the client, and then you have to find out where the funds are at to be able to execute the plan. And as we go through here today, I'll hit on each one of those topics for you. But, funeral and final expenses aren't any different. Someone's going to need to determine the services and pay the bill. And the question is going to boil down to who and when. Is it going to be your client before they pass away, getting their affairs in order and making it easy on their loved ones? Or is it going to be the situation that I found myself in, which is basically being a survivor after someone has passed away? Just a quick backstory on me. My mom and dad divorced when I was 2 years old. My mom raised all 5 of us siblings on our own, and I wasn't super close with my dad, but I've always been the entrepreneur of the family. So whenever there's a big event going on, it's always my phone that rings to get my opinion. So what happened with me was on January 21st of 2011, I found myself sitting in a funeral director's office. My dad had passed away, and the funeral director was asking me questions like, what was your dad's mother's maiden name? What was his favorite flower, his favorite hymn, his highest rank in the military? And right, wrong, or indifferent, I didn't have the answers to these questions. I didn't have those conversations with my father. But what I did realize quickly was that everything that I've been doing for my clients with this program, being right there in the middle of it, that wow, what a job I was doing for them, and I didn't even know it, because they weren't going to have to go through what I was going through on that particular morning of January 21st. So what happens is we tell our clients they need to pre-plan. And so there's 2 different ways to do that through National Guardian Life. You can plan and pay for the funeral. In other words, you can go into a funeral home and you can pay for your funeral expenses, get your casket picked out, and so forth. Or you can pay for the anticipated expenses today, have those funds grow, and know that they're going to be there when you need them the most, which is when you pass away. And that's the final expense side. And we'll talk about how National Guardian Life positions that, because that's where we're at. We're on that final expense side. So we always ask all of our clients, especially when we have someone pass away, which we usually get 1 or 2 death claims a month that our phone will ring here in the office, and we'll always ask our client, how much was the cost of the funeral that you just went through? Because a lot of people underestimate what it's going to cost to have a funeral, and the average adult funeral right now is around 14 grand or a little bit more, and that's right in line with what our clients tell us. So we will ask our clients, if we're in the planning process, just a little question. We'll say, hey, you know what, if something happened to you yesterday, how would your funeral be paid for today? And then the key to that is to be quiet and just let them explain to you what they think would happen if their funeral had to be paid for today. So that's a great question to ask clients. There's a huge opportunity in this product. A national survey, 72% thought it was a good idea to pre-plan, but 64% had not taken any steps to do so. And our belief on that is, rarely does a husband and wife wake up on a beautiful morning and look at each other and go, hey, honey, you know what? Let's go down and pick our caskets out today at the funeral home. So they think it's a great idea, but the motivation to go do it can be a little morbid, so they don't take those steps. And your clients aren't any different. We're all working in the same market here. So my clients that we're doing this with, and all the agents across the country that we're seeing this production with National Guardian Life, that's what they're doing. They're working with the same clients. They're just asking their clients different questions. So we all know this next stat. You know, this market is huge. And over the next 20 years, 80 million people are going to expect to file for Social Security, which means they're anywhere from 62 to 70 years old, which is right in our marketplace. So if you think about it, by 2025, there's going to be twice as many seniors as they are today. And if you plan on being in this business for the long term, think of how sharp you'll be in 2025 using this product if you learn it and you start implementing it today. So one of the ways we start our conversation with our clients about this is actually 2 ways. There's one simple question if you want to write this down. It's real easy. We just ask them, have you prepaid your funeral yet? It's a yes or no question. And the reason we do that is we want to get them thinking about what's going to happen if they need some type of long-term care in the future. 69% of all Americans older than 65 are going to need that care. And I think the stat in our country is 93% of all of those people have no type of protection at all. So they've worked their whole life to build these assets, and now they're just sitting there knowing what's possibly coming down the pike, and they are not doing anything about it. So we're going to point that out to them, and we're going to say, hey, look, you know, this cost of care now 68 to 78,000 per year, and it's growing at 4% a year. That's a big problem. And so what's going to happen is many of these people are going to need to try to qualify for Medicaid. They're going to have to spend their assets down until they're broke, and then they'll be able to get on the government program. So what we're going to do is we're going to use this to show them how they can protect some of those assets if they don't have any type of long-term care insurance or a plan in place to make sure those assets are protected. So how does this all fit together with National Guardian Life? We're going to take the financial protection of life insurance, and we're going to use the advantages of an irrevocable funeral trust. So we're going to allow those clients to plan ahead by permanently setting those funds aside for final expenses, but we're going to use the trust to hold those funds, so they're effectively spending those assets down and protecting them from the Medicaid consideration when they have to have care at some point in the future. So the trusts themselves, this is usually where we get the biggest questions with this program. But the nice thing about the trust, they're going to give protection from creditors. The benefits that pay out of the trust are going to be income tax free. The funds are available immediately. I'm going to cover that here in a little bit. It's a huge benefit to this program. The trusts are free. Now I'm going to talk about that a second. I had an elder law attorney that was right next door to me. He's actually bought the building down the street, and I'm taking over all of his office space. But my point to that is I've worked with him now for a few years, and if you want to go in and talk to him about protecting your assets, he'll be happy to do an irrevocable trust for you. Just bring a check for $7,500 to get the party started. So our trusts are free through National Guardian Life. I'll cover what they entail, but everyone's going to qualify for the trust assignment. With this program, you are never going to have anybody turned down. You are never going to go out and do work that you are not 100% confident is going to get issued and that you are going to get paid for your valuable time. So the death proceeds, we'll use them to pay for the funeral expenses. They'll avoid probate costs and delays. And here's a key feature. The funds are totally portable. Now, why is that important? Well, we all work with clients who have kids and grandchildren. Sometimes the kids will take a job in another state. We just had this with a client. The client came to us and said, hey, our son just took a new job down in Florida. We're packing up. We're out of here. We're following them and the grandkids. So what happens there, if you go prepay your funeral here in Ohio at a funeral home, and then all of a sudden you decide to uproot and move to Florida to be with your grandkids, you're kind of stuck with the funeral home that you've prepaid with. With this, these funds can be used in any funeral home in the United States. You are not specifying a particular funeral home when you set up your plan. So I'll let you look at this next slide and kind of go through it a little bit on your own. But we like to see how the trust compares to traditional savings instruments. So the one thing I'm looking at on the slide is I'm looking for all of these categories to say yes when I compare it to the financial instrument. And as you'll see there, the only one that does is the irrevocable funeral trust. This is a good slide to have in your presentation packet with a client as well, so that, you know, visually clients are more receptive. If you're telling them something, it's words. If you're showing it to them in writing, it actually brings more value to the table. So how does it work? Here's what happens. I'll use a typical client. We go out and meet with the client. We explain to them the value of pre-planning their funeral ahead of time. We find where those funds are, and we actually now are going to buy a life insurance policy with the money. Now, it's not like your traditional single premium life. I'll kind of explain what I mean by that. If you put $15,000 in a traditional single premium life, you may get $25,000 of death benefit and have cash value in your policy. When you put the $15,000 in this plan, you may start with $15,500 of death benefit, but what's going to happen is they're going to give you an interest rate and guarantee that that money is growing during the life of the policy. The reason for that is we are now going to assign this policy after it's issued to the irrevocable funeral trust. Very important here. Every conversation I have with my clients, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, you understand that we're buying this life policy and then we are going to assign it to the irrevocable funeral trust. Irrevocable means the money does not come out until you pass away. Don't call me to ask to do a loan. Don't call me and tell me you want to surrender the contract. It is money that is locked up for the rest of your life. I've been doing this 14 years. I've never had a client call me and say, hey, I want to borrow or cash my policy in. We're very, very upfront with them that it's irrevocable. But what's going to happen is it's going to protect that money now from any type of a nursing home situation, and it's going to earn tax-free interest until they need the money. So we just had a death with a client. This is exactly what happened. That client called our office. She said, John, my mom died. You have a funeral expense trust policy for her with National Guardian Life. I said, yes, we certainly do. Can I get the name of the funeral home and a contact person? I then called the funeral home. I got their fax number. I called National Guardian Life. I gave them the policy number and the fax number, and at that point, I was out of the transaction. Within 48 hours, that funeral provider had money in hand from the funeral trust contract. Now, with this, because we're protecting money, any excess funds would be paid to the estate. So if there was 15 grand in there and the funeral ended up only being 14,000, that extra $1,000 will be paid to the estate of the insured. So we'll talk about the two trusts and how they compare with each other over the next couple slides. The first one is the funeral expense trust that I keep talking about here. We're going to show you a slide in a few minutes. I see we have a bunch of people on the webinar today, probably all over the country. So we'll show you what your city, state, and county looks like. But what happens is it gives you the ability to help exclude assets in order to qualify for Medicaid when applying immediately. What I mean by that is the elder law attorney I work with will sometimes come over frantically and go, hey, I got a husband and wife. We're trying to get the husband qualified for Medicaid. I need you to take 30 grand and open 2 funeral trusts for him, because he knows that that gets the money off the table immediately, no questions asked. Now, what will happen, like I showed on the last slide, the trust is going to pay for any funeral cost with any excess funds going to the estate of the insured. That's with the funeral expense trust. Now, with the estate planning trust, you can put up to $100,000 in there. And that gives you the ability to exclude assets in order to qualify for Medicaid and Social Security income after a 5-year look back. So it basically works the same, except you can put in more money, but you do have to get through the 5-year look back period. Now, after that, what will happen is when you pass away, they can still use the funds to pay for your funeral expenses, but any excess funds will go to a designated beneficiary that you've named at the time of the application. Be careful with this one as well. When everything is irrevocable, so when you name those beneficiaries, make sure that that's exactly where your client wants the money to go, because again, we're not going to be doing a beneficiary change anytime before they pass away. So most of the questions I get at our academies that agents will attend at IAMS is, when do I use which trust? Well, like anything else, for me, it's easy because I've been doing it so long. So what I'll do is I'll put it in layman's terms for everybody on the call today. For a funeral expense trust, this is great for crisis planning. John, my husband's in the nursing home. He's been in there for a year. We're running through our assets. What can you do to help me protect money? Well, we can do a plan on your husband. We don't even have to see him. You can sign for him. There's 15 grand. We can also do 15 grand on you. We've just protected $30,000 from Medicaid spend down. Or maybe Medicaid's possible in the next 5 years, like that client we're talking about. Maybe she's going, hey, we're running through money like crazy. I think we're going to have to apply for Medicaid. Well, let's start getting some of that money protected. And if we think we can get out to 5 years, let's put some in the estate planning trust as well to protect as much as we can from the nursing home. And then sometimes, because I do a lot of seminar presentations and we do full fact finders and planning with our clients, they'll say to me, hey, you know what? I like that idea. I just want to put some money away today. I'm probably going to live another 20, 25 years, but I do want to know that the money's protected now. So that's great for the funeral expense trust as well. When we get into the estate planning trust, maybe Medicaid is a non-issue. I love to use this story about a couple teachers that are clients of mine. We just yesterday or 2 days ago, I met with them again. They're about 3.5 to 4 years through this process. But when I originally met with them, they told me, hey, look, we have great income, we have savings, we're never going to buy long-term care insurance, but we would like to set up that money so that we know that no matter come heck or high water, that our kids are at least going to get that money. And so what we did is we set up an estate planning trust. They each put 100 grand in, and they know that that money is going to be easily transferred to their children. Or maybe you have clients who have specific charities that they intend on leaving money to, maybe through their will, maybe through their revocable trust that they have. But you need to explain to them that that's great intentions, but if you get sick and you need care and you run through all of your assets, there's not going to be any money for that charity. So doesn't it make sense, if you have an idea of how much you want to leave to the charity, let's get it put away now, forget about it, and know that that money's going to be there. That's the real opportunity when you're talking to people about the estate planning trust. So the product that we use to fund the trust with National Guardian Life is called the AssetGuard. It's just simply a single premium life insurance policy. So we're going to give them a fixed rate of growth on it. We're going to put the money in there. We're going to explain to them it's irrevocable and that the money is never going to pay out until they pass away. So the individual state limits we talked about, and I want to spend a minute on this slide because it's very, very important. You know, I'm going to look at Ohio here a minute. I'm in Ohio. I'm kind of blessed. I can do $15,000 in a funeral trust with no issues. But let's take a state like where IAMS is located. Let's look at Nebraska for a minute. So when we look at Nebraska, they're telling us, hey, you can only put $4,916 into an irrevocable funeral trust. So if I lived in Nebraska or one of these lower limit states, what my conversation to the client would be is, hey, you know what, in Nebraska, I can only protect immediately $4,916 of your money in the funeral trust, but we can go up to $100,000 in the estate planning trust. The average funeral is $15,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to put $4,916. We're going to get it excluded immediately, and then what we're going to do is we're going to put the balance, the other 10 grand, into the estate planning trust. Once it's in there 5 years, that'll be excluded. So just because you have a low number for the funeral trust, or in some states like Florida, no number at all, use the estate planning trust to still do the funeral planning. The only difference is it's the 5-year look-back process. But that beats not having anything in place and losing the assets to the nursing home. Next one you can skip, Mark. Here's the expenses that are paid for out of the irrevocable funeral trust. You can see just about everything that you would need at a funeral, including transfer of the deceased. So if you had a plan in place that was, you know, $20,000 and the client passed away and it was $5 grand to get them back home, this plan will pay for the transfer of the deceased to get them back home. The funeral home in a pre-planned funeral situation is not going to pay to get the deceased back to the funeral home. So I'm going to talk today about the single pay because that's all we use in our practice. So the NGL AssetGuard single pay, you can open it up with a minimum of $500. Your maximum amount is $100,000. I'm going to touch on that a second here, Mark. That is a combination of the two trusts. So client comes in my office, we do a funeral trust, they put 15 grand in. Next year we're doing a review and they said, hey John, you know what, we were thinking about the estate planning trust, we would love to put 100 grand in there. I'm going to say, well, we can't do that because the combination between the two can be 100,000. So what I would do is I would call National Guardian Life, give them the policy number. They're going to tell me exactly the additional money that we can put into the estate planning trust to keep us in that $100,000 corridor. You pick the growth rate for your client. You can give them a growth rate up to 2.25%. Here at Intang Financial, we give them 2%. We give that to every single client. I tell advisors, I don't care what rate you give your clients, just be consistent across the board. Whatever rate you decide you're going to offer, give it to everybody. And here's the beautiful thing. There's one health question. Like I told you, everybody is going to qualify for the plan. So when you look at the next one, single pay issue ages are 0 to 99. So, you know, I just had a conversation with an agent that's licensed with National Guardian Life, and he said, wow, I've got this client, you know, all they do is rave about their grandchildren. And I said, well, hey, you know, why don't you bring up to them the fact that if they were to fund even $5,000 to $10,000 per grandchild into this plan, and that grandchild lives to be 70 or 80 years old, they've done a great benefit for that grandchild, and they've gotten that money out of their estate as well. So 0 to 99 is the issue ages on it. We can certainly do that. One health question, if they answer it no, it's going to be a standard issue. If they issue it yes, it's going to be a guaranteed issue. So we're going to get it issued. One of the things that I like about this is I know one thing for sure. If I've got the client committed and we submit an application, I'm getting paid for my time that I spent with the client, and that's what's valuable to me in this business. So we're going to increase that death benefit daily with simple growth. And if they pass away with a single pay, we're going to give them that immediate full death benefit. So there's, and yes, I always get this question, if they pass away in the first year, you will get a chargeback of commission. But the nice thing is, I don't know how long any of you out there have been in this business, but this could not be easier to do. It's literally 2 pieces of paper and your state replacement form, and you are done. So I always say, you know, if you don't like paperwork, you're going to love this program. When I first got into the annuity business back in 1993, my very first annuity sale was a $25,000 annuity to a guy who owned a dry cleaner in Marion, Ohio. The application was 3 pages. The last page was his receipt for the annuity. And as you all well know, if you're in the annuity business or writing traditional life or long-term care, these applications now can be 30 or 40 pages. So if you don't like paperwork, you are going to love working with this product. So what Mark's showing you there, that's the top half of the application. So just going to be basic information. We're going to put the face amount, the premium, and then we're going to put the amount of premium we're putting in. We're going to move to the bottom of the page. We're going to get a signature from the applicant. And then the second page of this is going to be a receipt. So if you pick up cash with app, you can certainly leave them this receipt behind. Then you're going to have your assignment form. So whether you're using the Irrevocable Funeral Trust or the Estate Planning Trust, they're both going to have their own disclosure form. You're going to have the client sign right there. So with this product, after it's issued, 45 days after issue, they put it into the trust. That's their standard protocol. But if you have a client like when my elder law attorney comes over here frantically and says, hey, I can't wait 45 days. We're trying to get them qualified by the end of February. Well, what we can do is we can have the client sign off that they are going to waive the 45-day right, and they want that in there immediately. So issue it and put it in the trust and protect it, and that's what this is for at the bottom of the disclosure. So on the next page, we're going to talk about presenting this to the clients, because this is really where the rubber meets the road. You know, I like to say that when I sold that first annuity back in 1993, to be quite frank with you, I probably didn't know fully what I was doing, and I certainly couldn't believe someone would write a check and let me walk out with it for $25,000. But the difference is, today, I'm doing webinars on National Guardian Life, and it's not because I'm the smartest guy, but it's repetition, just like annuities. I could teach classes on this today. It's just that I've learned it, and I've put it into my presentation. I've done it over and over again, and you'll feel the same way once you're licensed and you have access to all their materials and you actually start presenting to clients. So what I tell new agents, they will say to me, well, how do you get leads? You know, who do I talk to about this? I will always say that start with your annual reviews. And if you're not up to date on the annual reviews or you put them off, this will motivate you, because if I were an agent, I would go into the annual review and I'd say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, wouldn't you agree that all the advice I've given you in the past has been pretty spot on to the way I told you it was going to work? Well, your clients are going to tell you, yes, you're their advisor, you're back in their home for an annual review. And my next statement would be, well, there's one thing that we overlooked that we're implementing with all of our clients, and I want to discuss that with you today. Have you prepaid your funeral? Yes or no question. So that's how I would start that discussion with my annual review. I've talked to several agents that use this in their annual review, and they'll laugh and say, wow, John, you know, I did an annual review. I knew going in their annuities were locked up. I knew we weren't going to have any more business, but I made $3,000 doing the review simply because I brought up the National Guardian Life product. Yeah, and you will, and we hear that story all the time. So when you're presenting the funeral trust funding, we're going to stress those benefits of planning ahead. I have my own personal story that's very powerful when I talk to clients, but you can use my story. You can just tell them that, you know, your mentor that taught you this program, this is what he went through with his dad. So we're going to stress that benefit. We're going to tell them it can be used with any funeral home. So you're not locking into a particular funeral home. You can choose when and where you want that funeral to be at the time of your passing. This is a big point. We see a lot of business come in through this, not only from agents that are licensed, but also in my personal practice. We do a lot of 1035 exchanging of cash value from old life policies to this plan. And the conversation with the client kind of goes like this. You advisors don't realize this, but your clients do not understand that when they die, that their life insurance is not going to pay them both the cash value and the death benefit. They're going to get the higher of the two. So as an example, when we're working with a client, we want them to have all their old life insurance policies on the table, because we're going to call the company with them and we're going to ask the company a couple questions. What's the cash value and what's the death benefit? You're going to find many clients on these old paid up policies may have 6,000 or 7,000 of cash value and 8,000 of death benefit. So we're going to explain to them, hey, if this money's for your final expenses and you leave it with the insurance company and you get sick and go into a nursing home, kiss it goodbye. They're going to make you spend the cash value and you're going to lose your life insurance. If you transfer the cash value to our plan, we're going to protect it 100%, and that benefit's going to guarantee to be there when your family needs it the most. So don't overlook those old life policies. Our rule of thumb is if they're within 25% of their death benefit with their cash value amount, so what I mean by that is they have $15,000 in cash value and their death benefit is only $20,000. We feel it's a good financial planning move to protect the $15,000 and give up the $5,000, because they could lose it all if they get sick and go into a nursing home. So then what do we all get paid to do? We all get paid to close the sale. So your clients are going to have that peace of mind of knowing that they planned ahead, and they love, love, love knowing that those funds are protected. Just these teachers I was telling you about, I just met with them at the end of the week, and you know, she brought it up to me. She said, you know, we just love knowing that that money's almost 100% protected. So it is value to them. So where do you find the money? Well, we find it everywhere. A lot of times when we ask that client that question, have you pre-planned your funeral, and they say no, we'll say, well, how's your family going to pay for it? Well, my daughter knows I have a CD over at the bank for $15,000, and she knows that's to be used for my final expenses. Well, Mrs. Jones, number one, I know you're not making any money at the bank on that CD. Number two, if you get sick and go into a nursing home or need care, it's an asset that's countable towards your spend down. If that's the purpose of it, doesn't it make sense to get it 100% protected? So those are the conversations you'll hear. Annuities, Many of you out there are probably annuity producers. How many of you have annuity contracts where your clients, you're not getting paid a trail on it, they're never going to take the money out, 92% of all annuities get passed on to the next generation? What a great conversation right now with the tax law change to say to them, hey, this tax law change is not permanent. It's going to be reviewed in 2025. Does it make sense to get some of this interest out of your annuities if it's going to be going to your beneficiaries anyway? Pay the lower tax rate on the money and get it moved over into this plan. Use that 2018 tax event to motivate your clients to get money out at a lower tax rate and get these plans funded for their future. So we know the clients already have the funding. It's not new money. We'll say to the clients, you know what, in theory, you're really not even buying anything. You're taking money that's countable for a nursing home spend down from your left pocket, and you're putting it over into your right pocket to make sure that it's secured from anything in the future that would cause you to lose it. So again, pretty powerful when you're talking to the client. So here's the brochures that are available. Once you're licensed with National Guardian Life, they have a great website. They have PowerPoint presentations you can download on your iPad. They have these brochures. They're glossy colored brochures. We use the ones to the left and right that are flanking Understanding Medicaid. They're very powerful. I love to share the story about a client that's about 10 minutes from my office here. I went out and met with them. They had a couple life insurance policies with Nationwide. They were in that 25% corridor. It was a pretty big deal. It was about $60,000 in cash value. I went out and met with them. I left them these two little brochures, and they, well, back up a minute. They told me they wanted to think about it, and we've all heard that. And I am fine with that, but if you're going to think about it with me, I'm going to set a definitive time to call you back. So I told them, I said, hey, I'm fine if you think about it, but do it while the information's fresh on your mind. Read through the brochures. I'm going to call you tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and I just want a decision from you. 9 o'clock the next morning, my office says, hey, you got a call on the line. I take the call. She says, hey, John, I want to let you know we read through the brochure. We just want to get the appointment set up with you and get it done. I didn't even have to call them back. These brochures are a trifold that are very consumer friendly and very right to the point about what you're trying to get done for them.
Hey, John.
Sure.
I got a quick question here. Someone wanted me to go back and show the slide about how to find the money. It must be this one here, I guess, we're talking about.
Yes.
So, yep, I don't know if they're jotting it down, but remember, this is recorded too, so I'll shoot it out to you, Daphne, and then if you wanted to pause it, you can pause it and glean everything that you want from the slides. So, okay, let's go ahead and move on.
Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about National Guardian Life. I don't work for National Guardian Life. I have my own business here, but I'm going to tell you something. I've done business with them for 14 years. I cannot tell you of one instance where everything that was supposed to work out the way it was supposed to work out did not go that route for me. From their client or their agent direct line, where you can be in an appointment with a client and call them right there, get a live person, get an answer, to just their overall claims paying ability, which is really at the end of the day what I care about, because that's when my clients are staring at me wanting to know where are these benefits at. They are a great company to do business with, and they have got this process down pat. So this is what the agent website looks like. Once you're licensed, you get access to it. My favorite part is that one that says reports, because I can pull up my commission right away. Let me tell you what that looks like for us. If we were to have written a case this past Monday and submitted it to National Guardian Life with a check, those commissions would have been in my account on Wednesday. So submit Monday, commissions Wednesday. If it's a 1035 exchange, they have a department that's dedicated to that. They'll get that money within 3 weeks, and you can fax the app in with the 1035 exchange that day, and they'll go right to work for you. You can pull up videos, training. You can download PowerPoint presentations, all your forms. It's really, Mark, I know you've been on it. It's very comprehensive, and they do a great job for the agent of providing content.
You bet.
So why sell the products? Well, we showed you the stats. Your clients need it. They're thinking about it. It's a great income opportunity. I'm going to show you how you can easily add 40 to 50 grand to your bottom line, just asking people that simple question. The trusts are free, so no fees. No other professionals are advising your clients on this. Let me tell you how I know that. Every single client we do this plan for, our closing question with them is, hey, has anyone ever talked to you about this before? We've never had anybody say yes. So no one's even talking to your clients about this. Don't let somebody be on our webinar and show up into your client's house because they will talk to them about it. You might lose a sale that's sitting there for you. The funds are portable. So again, you can go to any funeral home. Great company to do business with, very well capitalized. You're going to give your clients that peace of mind. And if you hate paperwork, I'm telling you, you're going to love doing business with National Guardian Life. Then we're also going to have our, I believe the next slide, Mark, is going to be compensation. That's what I thought. That's what everybody likes to talk about. So I just, I put this out there, and I've had this slide up forever, but I like to tell agents that, look, if you just did reviews and you had 2 couples per month and you just picked up $10,000 on each spouse, you're going to make $40,000 to your bottom line. And the reason I say that is this. With this whole DOL thing in the works, you better be looking at the income legs of your stool that you have for your business. And this is one that we look at it and we say every year when we sit down to do our beginning of the year planning, okay, we know we've got all of our office expenses paid for because we're very confident we're going to make a minimum of $40,000 through National Guardian Life. So it's very nice to know that, and if you don't have this in your business right now, you're going to find that it's a great tool to pick up $40,000 to $50,000 a year of additional income doing what you're already doing. So on this next slide here, what we'll show you, if you focus on the top left corner, this is anything for 0 to 60,000 of premium. And if you were, Mark, go to 61 to 65 years old. So if you sat down, did a review with a client, and you picked up these plans and they were a standard issue, and you picked up 15,000 on each one of them, that's 4,000 in commission. Now 13.31% is a pretty good commission. But even if they're guaranteed, it's an 8.2% commission. So it's a win-win, and as we all know, commissions in our business are dwindling, and this is still a great place to be able to help a client and get good compensation while you're doing it. Now, every year, National Guardian Life has their rewards trip. I've been on them. They do a great job. It's first class. But the thing I like most about it that's helped me is just like the upcoming IAMS Summit. Anytime I've ever went to a sales conference since early in my career, I always look for the top producers, and I introduce myself and I ask them, I want to know what they're doing to be so successful, because in this business you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You got to find out what the successful guys are doing, and you got to implement that into your business. So again, if anybody's on here that'll be at the IAMS conference, certainly seek me out. I'll be there. I'll be happy to spend some time with you. So some of the biggest challenges, obviously, getting comfortable with the concept. Again, back when I did my first annuity, I didn't know anything about it, or my first NGL plan. Today, I feel like I'm an expert on both. And your clients are believe that pre-planning is a good idea. You're going to stress those benefits of pre-planning, and just keep it on top of your mind. Every client, every day, have you pre-planned your funeral, or prepaid, sorry. One other thing I'll say on here, Mark, before we talk about this guide for beneficiaries, which will be made available to you once you're contracted with National Guardian Life, is National Guardian Life has a piece that we leave with every single client, and that piece is called a planning guide. It's a high gloss 3-pager. And what happens is they can go in there, and all the information I didn't have on my dad, they're going to fill that out, and they're going to tell what their favorite flower, their favorite hymn, where they graduated, everything someone would need to know to walk into a funeral home and give to the funeral director. So what we do is when we write a National Guardian Life Plan, we give them this planning guide. I was always taught in this business that if you leave your clients a task, once you've done business with them and keep them engaged, your persistency of the deal staying will go up. So we leave them this and we say, hey, look, when we come back with your contract, we want you to have this planning guide filled out. And Mrs. Jones, if I put your contract with this planning guide and I had never met you before, I could pick the contract up and the planning guide that you're passing, give it to the funeral director, and they could make sure your funeral was taken care of exactly the way that you wanted it. So that's another great piece on that website. Make sure you order them and use it. So the guide for beneficiaries, this is something we created in our business. Just a quick backstory on it. We had about a $500,000 annuity client that the mom passed away. I got a call from the daughter. I said, hey, you know, I want to set up an appointment with you so we can help you get the estate settlement stuff done. And she said to me, oh, John, don't worry about it. We already talked to the guy at the bank, and he said he'd be more than happy to do all that for us. Well, at that point, I realized I lost a $500,000 case because I didn't have anything in my client's home that told their beneficiaries to call me. So what we did is we used this new guide. We went out and saw all of our clients. We collected all new data on all their finances, and our successes were incredible. We picked up in a 6-month period of doing this $1.5 million in additional annuity premium, $200,000 in single premium life, and about $150,000 into National Guardian Life. And so that was done because practice makes perfect. The more we did the guide, the better we got at implementing new things into the home. So this is what it looks like. You'll get this, that you can tailor it to your business, tweak it. But it basically says a guide for my beneficiaries. For help settling my estate, please call my advisor at, and it says Inting Financial Services. And we tell the clients when we give this to them that, hey, you need to make sure your kids know where this is at, because we want that phone call. We want to go back out and work with the kids and the beneficiaries and retain those assets. So on the next page, this is the financial organizer that comes along with it. It's going to basically give all their information. We're updating everything. We're asking about their children, especially if you have a 65, so you do manage money, you're a fiduciary. You know, if you ask about their children, you can actually pick up some prospects from their kids that you may not even know are laying there that you can work with. So anyway, that's page 1. Page 2, again, we're just collecting all the data. We're going to get down into their personal information. We're going to fill all of that out. You're going to find when you do this that, you know what, you think your clients tell you everything and where all their money's at. You're going to find out in a New York minute that you don't know where everything's at, and you're going to create a lot of opportunity for yourself. But that, have you prepaid your funeral, question 8. We're going to ask them that, and based on their answer, we're not going to just launch into a presentation, but we're going to circle the wagons. Either yes, they have, or no, they haven't, and then we're going to ask them, is there a charity that they're leaving money behind to? So this financial organizer comes as part of that PDF that IAMS will get out to you once you're contracted with National Guardian Life. There's the balance of it. There's the end of it. And then for me, that's the end of my presentation. I will tell you, especially with the new DOL, you know, things are changing. Whether the DOL sticks or there's a new ruling that comes out, you know, this best interest for the clients is here to stay. So make sure you have a lot of things that you can do to produce income for your business, and be proactive and do it now while we have this window until June of 19 to make sure no matter what the final decision is that you're prepared to move forward and run a quality business.
John, I got a few questions here. Let's see, from Daphne. Daphne, the question is, does the money in this annuity grow or stay the same? Well, it's not an annuity for one, but yes, it does grow. And it grows at the rate that John had indicated, that you can choose what rate you want to be credited to the trust. And you and I can discuss that further. I know you also had a question about the commission that we can address as well. Let's see here, another question. Okay, yeah, we can address this other one here offline when I call you, Daphne. Let's see, is there anything else in here? Okay. John, if they have a prepaid funeral already, can that money be pulled to fund either of these contracts?
Typically, and again, I don't want to speak out of turn, but typically if they've pre-planned it at the funeral home, then we don't disrupt that process for them. What we will actually do is try to use the estate planning trust to find out, and this is a great question, and I didn't say this on the webinar, but ask your clients, do you have a set amount of money that you're not going to need during your lifetime that you want to make sure is protected against the nursing home? So if I had someone that's already prepaid, I don't really want to get into that unwinding and go through that bureaucracy. So I'll flip it to something that is still beneficial to them that we can protect money with.
Okay. And Maria asks, do we do any mentoring?
Well, you know what? Actually, we do mentoring, and typically what's going to happen is if, IAMS, when you call them, you're going to speak with Mark Raymakers. Any questions that you have from a mentoring side, he can certainly answer those for you. If there's ever something that, Mark maybe doesn't know or isn't completely confident with, my phone's rang many a times, and I can certainly reach back out and get the questions answered. Just keep in mind, I'm running a practice too here, and we're constantly seeing clients, but anything we can do to help you be successful, we are all in for that.
Absolutely. And I was just going to add this too real quick. I was telling Maria, I was telling John about this before we got on. I wrote a couple of NGL Trust products myself this week, and I had a situation that maybe we don't think of, or we might run into a situation to where there's a policy that's going to lapse, and that's what was going to happen with this one contract. There was nothing they could do to keep the policy in force. It was an old UL policy. They had $6,000 in it, and some money in another contract where they had a loan. And the applicant has cancer, has been maintaining it through medication for 20 years now. And so we just thought it would make more sense to go ahead and put it into the trust product to protect the asset, which he was all in for that. So now he's got his funeral expenses covered. The loan on the other policy is gone. And by the way, NGL will take a 1035 exchange on a policy with a loan. All they really care about is the funds in the policy. So the loan goes away and the asset can still be protected. So keep that in mind as a sales opportunity. Another question, John, for you. How do you do seminars?
I do a general public seminar. So I use, there's a lot of great ones out there. I just happen to use one that I've used for years to grow my business. So I'm just doing a public seminar. I will tell you that it's a long story with me, but I had business partners back in 2004, and I had helped build a very successful company, and I broke off from them. And we actually went to every senior community center around the Columbus area, and they're always looking for speakers. And the only thing it cost us was Subway. So we'd find out how many people. The senior center would be happy to advertise it in their publication. We would go in, we would do a presentation either on, a lot of times we did it on annuities, and we also did it on NGL. And then we would do it for free. We'd collect the information, and then we'd reach out to the clients. And we actually did a tremendous amount of business just doing them at those senior community centers. So, if you're not wanting to, put the money out to go do a public seminar and feed them dinners, you can certainly start with your senior community centers and go that route. And it will work. We've proven that.
Excellent. John, looks like our question box is empty, so I want to thank you for taking time out of the field here to help us out this morning.
Well, I appreciate it. It's always great to be able to talk to advisors out there. And again, like I said, we're 100% here to help you implement this and grow your business. Mark, thanks for having me. I'm going to go put my movers clothes on and get to work moving into our new offices today.
Well, don't hurt that hand that signs the applications, all right?
You got it. Thanks,
All right.
Mark.
Thank you all. Have a great weekend.